Okay. Now this is a real switch. After years and years and years and years of being fairly beaten up for being overrun with sex criminals and fans of the playground, finally the Democrats and Democrat aligned organizations have decided to pick up the human trafficking fan of the playground attack and use it for their own. The Lincoln Project released what I think was actually a pretty devastating video. I don't see how, if you're a Trump supporter, you watch this video and say, yeah, I'm with the president.
She's really a beautiful baby, and she's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
He's talking about his fucking daughter.
Yeah.
What if that were Biden?
Oh,
what if that were Biden?
Oh, forget it.
Time will tell.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
I'll go
Great thing to
backstage
say.
before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with things like that.
Okay, so look, man, if you're going to be talking about Rabbi Shmuley having a dildo business with his daughter, if you're going to be talking about Ashley Biden's diary, but you're okay with this guy, you're a fucking clown. You're a clown. What kind of a person talks that way about his daughter? Like, how sick do you have to be in an interview to say some shit like that with like your daughter sitting there? Like, how does that make her feel? Like,
Yeah, that is quite something. Yeah, quite.
You're gonna talk about Joe Biden. He's a fan of the playground. Trump's not. He says about a child going up an escalator, I'll be dating her in 10 years.
Yeah.
If that were what if that were Bill Clinton? What would you say?
Oh, of course. It'd be wall to wall. No, forget it. Yeah, they'd be cashing in on that.
And this stuff was all out there. This stuff was all out there at the same exact time that people were making hay about Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. Donald Trump's just as bad, if not worse, than any of those people. And if you look at the fact pattern regarding Epstein, it's at least as bad as the fact pattern connected to Bill Clinton. At least as bad as that.
That's the Lincoln Project going pretty hard.
Yeah. So AOC tweeted this out. Wow, who would have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? That did very well, even for her, 25 million. And the Chuds are very excited at the prospect of her getting sued for saying that. They're so free speech. Such a free speech movement. Notice how free speech they are now? Cat turd. See you in court. With a picture of Alec Baldwin as Trump. Western Lensman. He tweets out Axios. ABC to pay $16 million to Trump Foundation lawyer over grape libel claim. Now, look, man, that's them pussying out and backing down because they're afraid of what Trump is going to do with control of the FCC. It's not because they were actually guilty of anything.
Right, you're allowed to have an opinion about a public
You're allowed
official.
to have
That's
an
not
opinion.
libel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not libel to have an opinion about the president.
Right. And all these people, man, they're upholders of the Western values of open debate and free speech until they're not. Until they actually have control of government. So here's John Ossoff speaking about this in a way that we haven't really heard Democrats. They haven't really been willing to go there. Now, you want to say it's because so many of their own people can be accused of improprieties? Yeah, that's probably true. We talked about this, me and Keaton talked about it offline a little earlier. It's not a coincidence that it's not the older ones, it's the younger ones. The younger ones, they were too young to be on that plane.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, I ain't on the list. I'm using this shit. It's not my problem.
Even if you're Chuck Schumer, I don't think Chuck Schumer was on that plane. I think he knows people who were.
Right.
That he doesn't want to be getting in trouble, right?
But these guys are young enough where it's not their problem.
Right. It's not their generation.
Yeah.
President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files?
Hello, John. I've been watching your political career with a lot of interest, and I got some pointers for you. I don't think that Epstein stuff is really plays with voters. I don't think you should talk about that
Stick
anymore.
to kitchen table issues.
Stick to economics. People don't care about these culture war things. Ro Khanna, why are the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful being protected? On Tuesday, I'm introducing an amendment to force a vote demanding the full Epstein files be released to the public. The speaker must call a vote and put every Congress member on record. Now, that is like a classic kind of Republican move. He's going to introduce this on Tuesday and force Mike Johnson into a position where he either has to allow this to go to the floor or he has to get all of the publicity of not letting it go to the floor. So this is a typical GOP move. You win either way. You win if it goes to the floor, because then you're going to force everyone to go on the record about this. And you win if it doesn't, because then you say, why won't they let it go to the floor? Democrats just usually don't play this way. I think you may be right that a lot of it is generational, man. Like a lot of it is the ones who are not implicated or closely tied to people who are implicated are willing to play chicken with these files in a way that the Pelosi generation was not. Not surprising at all. The Democrat who's not supporting the release of the Epstein files, who's arguing nothing to see here, is Bitchy Torres. Bitchy Torres comes up quite a lot in the stories we're doing tonight. So here he is saying the Epstein controversy is only a distraction, folks.
We be clear that the Epstein controversy is a distraction of Donald Trump's own making, that he was fanning the flames of the Epstein conspiracy theory during the campaign. And so now he's essentially an arsonist pretending to be a firefighter, and there was no need for an investigation. The medical examiner had investigated the matter and found that Epstein died by suicide. The same conclusions were drawn by the Bureau of Federal Prisons. There was no need for a new investigation unless the purpose was to legitimize a conspiracy theory.
Okay, man. You want to know what a bitch Ritchie Torres is to AIPAC? He gets almost as much money as Hakeem Jeffries does. Hakeem Jeffries, as we'll see in the Mamdani segment, he's done about $1.7 million. Ritchie Torres, not being the Speaker of the House, not being in the leadership, man, he's done almost as much money from AIPAC as Hakeem Jeffries. So that I would strongly suggest is why Ritchie Torres is the Democrat that won't go there. That guy is owned, bought, and paid for by Israel, lock, stock, and barrel. What? You think this gay Latino from the Bronx is just that fucking into Israel? Just naturally gets up every day and wants to defend Israel. That's really his passion? No, man, that guy gets sick amounts of money to just run cover for Israel. If anything, the fact that Ritchie Torres is taking that tack is more evidence that Epstein was all a Mossad op. Some people have pointed out, it's pretty funny timing. Netanyahu came and visited the White House. 2 days later, they shut down the Epstein files. Like, clearly, if you look at the fact pattern, this is about Israel. Epstein was an op for intelligence, Israeli intelligence, and the intersection with American intelligence. They have a lot of dirt on a lot of people. And the more compromised by Israel you are, it seems like the more likely you are to say nothing to see here, no matter what party you're affiliated with.
Well, yeah. I mean, Torres, has more AIPAC money than most Democrats or Republicans. And he's only been in Congress since 2021. Hakeem Jeffries, I think, is 1.7 or something like that?
I think he's been in since 2010. He's been in office.
Hakeem Jeffries has been in office since about then. Yeah. And he's got, I think, 1.7 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So
he's the leader.
He's the leader. He's the minority.
He's not
leader,
the Speaker of the House, but he's the minority leader.
Yeah. So so Torres really has him paced, pretty well. I mean, when you as a ratio, dollars to time in office, Torres is it's crazy. And well, this is what I said when we did the Jose fundraiser last year, which is just about a year ago today, almost. I said he says this stuff for money. He supports Israel for money. That's it. He has no concern for Israel. He doesn't care about Jewish people or Israelis or anything like that.
Like, why would this guy care that much about?
He does it for money. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about, and that's the only reason he does it. But aside from him. Yeah, I think you're seeing the younger Democrats see a real opening here. And the fact that the Lincoln Project people, who are these George W. Bush alumni, which the funny thing about that is, for the Lincoln Project to put that video out.
Well, they got busted. Wasn't one of their main people a perv? Didn't they have a
something
problem?
Happened. I forget.
Something blew up.
Something blew up in their face with that. But the Lincoln Project people, these are all like George W. Bush alumni.
Right.
And in fact, it was Alex Acosta, as U.S. Attorney for George W. Bush, who negotiated the plea deal with Epstein to, get him, not off on the prostitution charges, but to get him to do the time for the prostitution charges, which is a very reduced sentence. So, like, they originally hooked Epstein up. And the reason why Alex Acosta said he did that is because he heard Epstein was working for intelligence, vaguely speaking.
Right.
So he was sentenced to, I think, 19, 20 months. He served 13 and he was out. That sweetheart deal came under George W. Bush.
Right.
And so you got the Lincoln Project guys now coming out and saying Trump's on the list. You got AOC tweeting what she said. You got Ro Khanna. You got John Ossoff. So you see here, there's a lane a mile wide now.
Of course,
a mile wide for the
Democrats
to run through. From the Bush neocon, never Trump right-wing Democrats to the progressives, they can all run on this if they have the balls to, quite frankly, if they're not worried about themselves being implicated or their close colleagues being implicated. These younger Democrats don't really have that baggage. I think they're emboldened by the Mamdani victory. They're like, you know what? The Cuomo wing is on its way out anyway. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. And it is going to be.
They should.
Of course.
They should, because you'll get some MAGA people who hate Democrats, who just out of retaliation, revenge, and disgust will vote for Democrats because of the Epstein issue.
Well, yeah, and you use this to undermine all of MAGA's policy goals. Just like MAGA basically rode into office on the power of the immigration issue, right? It brings with it all of this other horrible shit. You use this to knock them down. Any argument that they make about morality and culture war, or pro-life, or pro-child, or pro-family, or even law and order when it comes to the border, when it comes to crime and punishment, all this crazy shit they want to do, any draconian moralistic position that they take can be undermined by bringing this up. If they're willing to turn a blind eye to the Epstein ring, then they are in no they have no moral authority to make any other argument, anything else. Period. Period. And that's why it's a great thing to run on. I know it's July of 2025, and you say, well, the midterms are 16 months away. You bring this up all day, every day, no matter what.
Yep.
It's a winner. It's clearly a winner.
Well, and this is why I've been taking a wait and see attitude on the collapse of the nation. The MAGA movement is collapsing so quickly that we might be able to recover from what they're doing. I mean, what they're doing is going to destroy the underpinnings of the country in ways that people have not realized yet, because it's still early and a lot of these things haven't gone into effect.
Yes.
But there are going to be some profound consequences. We're already seeing it with the Texas floods and the reaction to it. Like this is what really happens when you get a bunch of crackpots hopped up on this fundamentalist libertarian vision of government and put it into action. That's the kind of thing that's going to happen. And that's just the beginning. The more real world situations this ideology encounters, the more people unfortunately are going to get hurt and the more people are going to die. But when you look at this, the saving grace is that they are a bunch of incompetent crackpots, fruitcakes, narcissists, and sociopaths. And people like that cannot hold a political coalition together for very long. You're already seeing them all starting to turn against each other. Now, when you look at their base and how they're reacting to Epstein, okay, how are they going to react when grandma dies because she can't get Medicaid anymore? Right. Which, as Bannon kept trying to point out, not that, look, all of these people, they like to talk shit when the rubber meets the road. They haven't got the stones to really stand up and say something. He didn't speak out against the big, beautiful bill. It's a lot of MAGAs on Medicaid. Yeah.
You got to be careful.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are. And now they passed that bill. So, yeah, man, by the time you get into the midterms, things could look very different. I think they will, actually, at this point.
Please clap.